Video is going to discuss how to set up mailing panels on brochures. And as you can see, I already set up my file here. This is an 11 wide by 8.5 tall brochure that's going to fold in half here on this pink line to be 5.5 wide by 8.5 tall. And as you can see, I've set up my mailing panel here. The mailing panel, no matter your brochure size, is 3 3/4 inches wide here, this distance. And the reason this is orientated this way is because this is the final fold, the only fold, and the indicia, the barcode that will go here, and the addresses must be parallel to the final fold here. And it always must be on the right side of the final folded panel. So this is the outside back panel, this is the outside front panel, and as you can see, I have a dash line here. Any artwork you want to put down here is fine. It doesn't matter the orientation of the artwork, and you can have an optional return address here if you like. That's fine. We will add in the indicia, the correct indicia for the order that you place. It all depends on what postage type you choose will determine which indicia we use. So don't add an indicia. We will add our own. And this is where the addresses are, and we will process the list you supply, and we will add in this information. You should just leave this area blank like that when you send this to us. It shouldn't have any extra marks in it, no fold marks, no indicia, no dash lines. You don't need that. That is only our template. So this is a half folded brochure. This is a trifold brochure, meaning outside front cover, outside back cover. And this is the short panel that folds in first, and then the outside back cover folds inside the outside front cover. So this will fold first on this line. It'll fold in. This panel's a little short. And this is the last folding line. So again, as the last folding line, this is the orientation and where the mailing panel must be on a trifold brochure. The last fold on the right side, parallel to the last fold. This is 3 3/4 inch here. So nothing should print here. If you put any background artwork here, we will have to put a big white box where the address is and white underneath the indicia. Same for the half fold. If this image was all the way up here and it covered everything, we would have to put a big white box behind the address and white box underneath the indicia so that the post office can read the barcode and the addresses. So let's talk about another one. This is called a newsletter fold, and this is for a newsletter, a 4-page newsletter. This is 17 wide by 11 inches tall, and this is just the outside page. So this is going to fold in half right here first. This is the very first fold. That's going to make this an 8.5 by 11 page, and then it's going to fold again here to make it an 8.5 by 5.5 page. So this is the final size right here, 8.5 by 5.5. And that makes this the outside front cover and this the outside back cover. Because again, this is the final fold. So the mailing address must be parallel to the final fold and on the right side of the final fold. The indicia has to be in the top right of this back panel, and the address is 3 3/4 inch of clear space. Now, as you can see, we had to add a white box behind the indicia because this background is too dark and the post office can't read this. When you send us these files, again, don't put the indicia in, don't put the address in, don't put any fold marks in. We'll know where to put them. If you end up with this, let's say this water lily image completely covers your mailing panel like this, we will put in a big white box where the addresses and barcode will be, because you cannot have background for the post office's automated machinery to scan the barcode and the address and the indicia. So when you export your PDF, this is what you should be exporting. No extra lines. If you don't want it to print, don't put it in the file. Same thing with the trifold. You would get rid of any marks that you have. You don't want the indicia, you don't want the addresses. This return address can be here. It can be here too. It's okay to put it up here next to the indicia without blocking any area of the indicia. And then you can put any artwork you want here. It can be any orientation that you prefer. But when you export, you have to export as just 11 by 8.5 with bleed. No extra lines. Don't put the fold lines in. Don't put the indicia and the address. And the same for this one, the half fold. You want to make sure you supply it to us this way with the big white area. We know which orientation to put the mailing panel at. So just make sure on the right side of the final fold line is where the mailing panel should go. Now, for your list, your address list, we're going to need 2 separate lists. If you have international addresses, they must be in a separate Excel file. If you put them in with your domestic addresses, when we process the list through the USPS database, they will automatically be deleted and they won't mail. So you need to put them separately. And this is what the international Excel list looks like. There's columns for name, company, address, address line 2, address line 3, city, state, zip, and country. Company, address line 2, address line 3 are optional. You don't have to have anything in those, but name, address, city, state, zip, and country must have information in there. You can also not combine all this information into one column. That won't work either. They must be separated like this. Same with the domestic US address list. Name, company, address, address line 2, city, state, zip. Obviously you don't need a country. It's within the US. Company and address line 2 are optional. You can add other columns if you need them for like address line 3 if you have that. But name, address, city, state, zip are required. And the reason that we need to have them this way with these headers is because when we process it through USPS database, it's looking for these names in the first line of each column to know this is this, this is this, this is this. And when it processes it, it knows the state, the zip code, the address, etc. So you have to make sure that you separate it into individual columns. Now, for the file type, we want Excel files, XLSX files, not CSV. The reason you don't want to give us CSV files is because if you have special characters like ampersands and accents over vowels or anything like that in names or wherever, they may get swapped with funky characters or multiple funky characters, and it will not be an ampersand when it prints, and it will not be an accent over an E. It will be weird, random characters. So make sure you do not give us CSV files. Make sure you give us XLSX files, native Excel files. That way, when we process it, we can't fix those things, those weird characters. They're there until you supply us with a file without them. They would have to be fixed line by line, and we can't do that. So make sure that you give us Excel, native Excel files, 2 separate files if you're doing US addresses and international addresses. Okay, so back to this again. Orientation always, final fold, right side, 3 3/4 inch wide. Leave it white so that we can put in the information. And then you export your PDF like you would a brochure, a normal brochure. There's a video about that to help you with setting up your brochure. And this is the way you want to export. Same here, same here. And then we will add in the variable addresses on our end.